my fingers red from mending the fibers, and tucked the coin into my pocket. He gathered up his net and made his way back along the pier, passing the two divers and their growing pile of abalone. I stood, brushing flax off my trousers. The lonely coin I had just garnered from the morning of mean work would not take me far, and that meant I would have to hunt for another job if I wanted anything for lunch. I started back the same way the fishermen had gone. It was a gusty day, and the water foamed on either side of the pier, covering the stones with salty spray. I walked up the exact center of the pathway toward the two divers, unnerved by the roiling waves. The woman knelt on the rocks, picking over her most recent catch. As I reached her side, I found my way obstructed by a pair of legs tottering under an unruly armful of canvas and oars. I ducked, but the oars stretched wider than the pier, and the idiot carrying them wasn't bothering to use his eyes, and the vengeful ocean was just dying for a victim. So it was without further ado that I cracked my head on one of the blades and toppled sideways. I managed one phrase, "Earth and sky," before plunging into the stinging water. The power of the current was astonishing, first tossing me into the rocks before dragging me away from the shore like a master hauling on a mule. I flailed under the surface, clawing for some kind of purchase, but I had never learned how to swim, and my efforts did nothing to stop my descent. Air streamed out of my mouth, each bubble a firefly winking away toward the surface. A slow burn crept through my chest. My mind numbed in horror. I thrashed in the raging water. After everything, every wretched thing I had been through, every indignity, every loss, this was how I was going to die. Before I could fully give in to my panic, however, the water swirled behind me, and two arms wound up under my armpits, lofting me toward the sunlight. We broke the surface, and I spluttered, like a cat choking on a bone, as my rescuer dragged me on my back to the edge of the pier. Two freckled arms reached down from the rocks and hauled me onto solid ground. Golden hair flashed in the sunlight. The woman diver climbed up the slick rocks, shedding water. The man knelt beside me. "Take a few deep breaths," he said. I did, hacking out salt water. The woman dropped down on the man's far side, wringing out her braid. "Not a swimmer, are you?" she remarked. I shook my head. Water trickled out of my ears. "How could you tell?" "Did you swallow any water?" asked the man. The blonde of his beard was darker and redder than his hair, which matched the woman's. "No." I touched my forehead, my hand shaking slightly. "Am I bleeding?"
"No, but you'll have a bruise. Nothing a balm can't take care of."
I drew in a slow breath, relishing the sensation of air in my lungs. As my fright eased, I looked at the woman. She regarded me with a distant coolness, one eyebrow raised ever so slightly. I steadied my trembling hand and held it out to her, palm up. "Thank you. I'm useless in the water. You saved my life." She looked first at my hand, and then back up at my face, her eyes narrowing just slightly. "Well," I said, using my outstretched hand to sweep my bedraggled hair over my shoulder, "I suppose I've imposed on you enough. Bless the light for your skill in the water and regard for a stranger's life." I bent my knees to stand. "Good luck with your abalone." "Wait," she said. I paused, looking at her again. She cleared her throat. "Colm," she said. "Don't you think we ought to see to that bruise? She could have been concussed." Her brother. Of this I was sure, thanks to the golden hair, freckles, and the familial look she shot him, furrowed his brow.